All right. So let's transition to the next part of the show. I have an incredible guest. She is a someone who, when folks say, you're doing a lot, I only hang out with people who are doing a lot. That's my circle, right? And she's done incredible things here. Holding official office in the North Miami area, and if I'm wrong, I'm sure she'll correct me. In addition to being very active in Haiti, in the Croix-de-Bouquet area for a while. Now she's re-engaged in Cap Haitien. She has a recycling company. She's taking trash and transforming it to gold. And what's so cool about what she's doing? You check this out, guys. What she's doing is that's so cool is she's literally grabbing plastics, transforming it, and exporting it out of Haiti. That's right. That's right. She's part of that infrastructure, doing business the right way, taking stuff in the country and taking it out. And what's so cool about it too is she's taking the stuff we don't want. The stuff as you're driving around and you're like, oh my God, it's trash. I should do something about it. Guess what? While you were thinking about doing something about it, she actually has been doing something about it. So, without further ado, I welcome to the show Vanessa Pierre of Eco Renewal Solutions. Vanessa, comment nous y? How are you?
Hello, SeeJeanty, mon femme, merci parce que vous invitez me là jeudi. I'm so excited to be on your platform, and I'm ready to have this conversation with you. So thank you so very much. I really appreciate it.
Listen, I'm happy that you're here. I feel as if we should be siblings. I mean, we're such on that same wavelength, right? Let me ask you a question. I bet. Because I believe in this stuff. Maybe I'm going to be wrong this time. Who knows? This may shape my entire belief. But let me see something. What is your astrology sign?
A Scorpio.
Scorpio. Interesting. I don't know too many Scorpios. Okay, all right. I'll put you in that.
Everybody that I've met have said Scorpios are cool people. So don't mess it up.
You're going to be Virgo vibes. So
yes, the Virgos and Scorpios. Yes.
There you go. But so you're doing an incredible amount, same energy, same wavelength. So let me take a step back and please run through the resume, the gamut, the experiences, and explain folks who Vanessa Pierre is. And then after that, we'll talk about specific eco renewals. But let folks know who Vanessa Pierre is.
So Vanessa Pierre is a first-generation American, born and raised in Miami, specifically North Miami. If you know anything about North Miami, you know it's where the largest concentrations of Haitians are outside of Haiti. We used to live in Little Haiti, but like the whole moving on up, we went from Little Haiti to North Miami, so we did the little Jefferson's moving on up thing. So got my bachelor's degree from Bethune-Cookman University in Daytona Beach. Got my master's from Nova in Fort Lauderdale, and got my doctoral from Morgan State University in Baltimore, Maryland. My background is education. So education was never my passion, but I was coming up on that fourth year. So I did the 5-year bachelor's degree program, right? So I was on overtime, and my parents were like, "Fais vite à l'école. You're gonna be the oldest kid at the school. You're gonna be everybody's grandparents. Fais vite." So I was just like, all right, let me just take a major, and I ran with it for a couple of years, right? So I was an educator for that many years. I was appointed to the Parks and Recreation Commission, Quality Education Board, ran for office for the city of North Miami in 2019, District 1, and I'm running again next year.
Vote for it, guys. If you're in your district, vote for it.
Yes, if you're in my district, vote for me. Forbes Top 30 Under 30 nominee for the class of 2017. Academics Academy, I was executive director, so I used to so we had culture tech labs where we taught the students how to fly drones, how to record, because I used to be in media production back in school. I used to be in band. I played the alto saxophone. I used to be in media production, so I know how to record and edit and all that. Mm-hmm. So with the culture tech labs, we used to teach the kids how to fly drones with the videos, edit the videos, record, edit, and then post it online, because I saw that like the kids spend most of their time on TikTok and YouTube, and they're the consumers, and I wanted them to not be so much consumers, but to actually own and create and create the content so that they can monetize it, right?
Yeah.
So what else have I done? I mean, I've done so much that I had an after school program with the city of North Miami, Thomas Jefferson Middle. Like, so we were throughout. We were in different schools and providing youth enrichment programs throughout the city of North Miami. So like, I've been doing a little bit, just a little
A little
bit.
bit. now, now, I love the energy. I love the dynamism. So now, when it comes to Haiti, because it sounds like for sure you had a good amount of time stateside. You were in Little Haiti, then North Miami. Went to school over here. One of my brothers went to Bethune Cookman, so I know Daytona Beach
Okay.
very well. I used to
Yeah.
visit all the time.
Yeah.
He was in band, by the way, too, for Bethune
Oh,
Cookman.
nice, nice.
And so Morgan State, and you went to different universities.
Mhm.
So how did the interaction with Haiti? Like, were your parents always taking you to Haiti? So tell me about that, the engagement in Haiti throughout your life.
Okay, so I went to Haiti for the first time when I was like 4 years old, and I still remember. I know people were like 4 years old, but like I'm smart. I remember. But then from there to 2017, didn't go at all. So we always hear stories about people's parents telling them don't go, don't go. But like my parents are very like my parents, they have their life here, but they're very engaged in Haiti. Like they're always going. Like every 6 months, they're always going. So they were never like the types that were like pajamale, la, la, la. Because my parents are like they came here, but then they're also very woke too. Because they're like, listen, this is not the end all be all. Because see, how you say it in Creole, like sigonkui, sigonkui, they always have somewhere to go, whatever, right?
Right.
So they built their homes. They bought properties. They bought real estate out there, and they're not just like buying real estate and leaving it for whoever. No, like they're actively engaged. So every time they would go to Haiti, they would never bring me though. So there's twofold. They're like, oh no, you're not old enough. And I remember like I went recently for the first time with my dad because I used to go with my mom. And then even at 30 years old, he's like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, Daddy, please. I'm an adult now. They don't see you as that. But so in 2017, my friend was like, hey, come to Haiti with me. Come to Haiti with me. We on vacation. So we went to the Cameroon, and then we went to her family's place in Quadribuque, and we were just chilling, hanging out or whatever. And so we're on our way to Fort Jacques. And me, still having this privileged American mindset. And I want to pause right quick because a lot of us feel like we're not privileged because we are the minority in America. But then when we get to outside nations, like when we travel, even if it's on vacation, we carry the Christopher Columbus mindset at least a little bit with us.
Mhm.
And I want us to be cognizant of that privilege, right? So that privilege dawned on me when we were driving up the mountain to go to Fort Jacques, and I see the machas on the side of the street selling their fruits, vegetables, and meats. And then just to the side of them, they just pushed off the waste, right? They just pile it over, and then yo mete de gallo out there. They put
Mhm.
their stuff, and I'm in the car. I'm like, what are they doing? Isn't there a health department? This isn't safe. And I'm
Mhm.
like, wait, hold up. I had to check myself. And I was like, all right, Vanessa, like, relax. But it was just the smell that was hitting me, and I was just like, something has to be wrong. So later on that night, when I got back inside, um, let me pause right there.
Mhm.
When you have a smartphone and an internet connection, the world is
Mhm.
literally at your fingertips. And this is
Yep.
why I get so upset at people who always find excuses for everything. Oh, I want to do this, but. I'm like,
Mhm.
listen, I remember when I was in elementary school, I had to go to North Miami Library. I had to not on the computer. I had to go through the little. You had to open the little drawer.
Mhm.
Look for whatever you're looking for. Take out the
Mhm.
card.
Mhm. Mhm.
Walk to the aisle, and then get the book. Right, and then
Mhm.
those
Yep.
books are going to be outdated. The
Yep.
encyclopedias will be outdated.
I remember that.
So and it wasn't even that long ago, right? Because we're still young. So when people present themselves with all these problems, I'm like, listen, you have a smartphone. Information is updated by the minute, by the second. Use it. Don't use the internet to only go look at Zen, to go only look at Tripotai, to go only looking at Zen. Like, listen, it's funny for 5 minutes, but when you realize what you're trading off, which is your life, like and your future, you shouldn't be gambling like that. So back to the story, right? So with the power of a cell phone, an iPhone, and I had a good Verizon connection, internet connection, like speeds, lightning speed connection, internet connection. I literally Googled these words. I put, where does trash, what happens to our trash when we throw it away. Because remember, at that moment, I don't know anything about waste management. I don't know anything about recycling because my background is education only, right? So I just Googled that. And then, so this was November 2017 that this happened, November 2017. So I'm reading articles, and then I find out that the world, United States, Canada, South America, Europe, they all sell, they all export our trash to China. So I'm like, what? What you mean? Like, yeah. So like where I live in my neighborhood, every Tuesday and Thursday, Waste Pro comes to pick up our trash. Wednesday they pick up the recycling, and on Friday they pick up the bulk trash. These companies, they take it off of our hands, right? Well, first of all, they charge us to pick up our trash, right? And then they go around, they turn around, they put in the landfill, they separate it, they segregate it, they clean it, sometimes clean it, and then they put it on 40-foot containers, headed straight to China. And they get paid per metric ton. Big money. Waste management industry is $1 trillion industry. Trillion, right? So at that moment, I'm like, oh, so they sell our trash? And I'm like, okay, cool. Let me see how I can get in this. But China stopped accepting imports from the world January 2018. Mind you, I'm finding out this information November 2017. I'm like, oh man, I thought I had to come up, right? But then at that same moment, I found out that it was only China that stopped importations, but other countries were still accepting. So from that moment on, Eco Renew Solutions was born. Again, the power of internet. I was researching what countries import, what companies import, and what they do with it. So with the plastic and with the aluminum that we throw away, it becomes our furniture, it becomes our clothes, it becomes our medical equipment, right? So like if you're going in to get a mammogram, the machine that they're using, that's all coated in plastic, right? Different types of plastic. If you need a CT, if you need a CAT scan, that's all plastic. That's all plastic. So it's integrated in every single part of our laptops, the casings for that, all plastic. So from that moment on, Eco Renew Solutions was born, and I have not turned back yet.
So it sounds like so your parents, they themselves had this passion for Haiti that certainly they were able to bleed onto you. And then during a trip on your own, there's a very clear problem. But unlike most Haitians who just say, "Oh, it's the government, it's the politics, and it's America," and you're like, "What can I do?" And you did so.
Yes.
Right.
I'm very solution oriented, and you said something before in your introduction about being on on I don't think you used the word deathbed or like hospital bed, but I always say this: I never want to be on my deathbed thinking back to my youth and be like, shoulda, coulda, woulda. Because honestly, it really is shoulda, coulda, woulda. Like when you take out the it's the government, it's the this, it's gonna always be somebody. So it's either you want to do it or you don't. It's gonna always be somebody.
Yeah, and you got to get it done now. So on your trips, on those prior trips, like what I'm trying to understand is like, so you went there by yourself. When did you start going with your family? Perhaps like when did you start getting that family engagement? After you started going by yourself, or
no, not really. Because my parents were always going to Haiti. Like,
but with you though, like with along you.
I went one time when I was 4 years old, and then it went void. But they kept going. Like they were always in Haiti back and forth. They were like, "Oh, you're not ready yet. Pay up, I want." Whatever. They probably just want to have fun because my dad is back there all the time. But the first time I went with my dad was 2018.
Okay.
We went to Akil. We're from my dad's side of the family is from Akil, and then that's the first time 2018. But between that, I was going by myself all the time because.
How do you feel about that? I know they themselves were cool, but how do you feel about you going by yourself?
Vanessa,
they didn't even allow you to go.
Attention, it's always attention. But then like I have family that are from here that I go with, and they're like, okay, where's Jesuli? And like the entire neighborhood in Akil du Nord is very small. My uncles live across the street. My uncle, like my other uncles, like they all built houses on the same street where they grew up. So like the whole family's on like the same block. Like all the big houses are our family. So I'm not really alone, but he still is like, he still has a little side eye. But I always say, listen, like I'm a world traveler. So even when I was I was going to, like, I backpacked to Europe for like 3 months. Even when I went there, he's like, oh, so about to join Europe. Sagi. I'm like, listen, I'm not staying in one place. Like, the world is meant to be explored. And my family there, like my dad traveled the world before he came to America too, because he's always like, he liked to travel, he liked to do that. So he wanted to explore it too. So I'm like, look, Daddy, I'm doing the same thing you're doing. He's like, oh, but I'm a man. It's safer for us. And I understand, and I definitely do agree with that. But if you think that America is the end all be all, then I'm sorry for you, buddy. I really am sorry. And this goes for everyone. Like, backpack Europe for 3.5 months. Backpack the east coast of Africa. The world is really, I know it sounds cliche about the world being your oyster, but like until you've actually explored, you can't say that you know yourself. Do you really? Do you have you really seen what there's all to offer? So I think that's kind of what made me not even scared to go into Haiti, because I'm like, listen, what I was doing as an educator, that was not the end all be all. It was not. I used to tell my students sometimes when I used to be like, do y'all know who I am? I said, I'm too fly for these guys. I'm too fly. And then they used to laugh. They're like, Miss P, you need to stop. But honestly, when you've seen the world, you know you deserve better. And I really think that if people were to explore more, they wouldn't be so scared about getting involved in Haiti. Yeah, Haiti has these little pockets of insecurity, but like, until you've explored the world, you really don't have nothing to worry about going to Haiti. You don't.
As someone who I know you've traveled to a lot of different places in Haiti, which spot, I think I know your answer already, but which spot you would like the most, and explain to folks why is that spot so incredibly special?
The gun, no. Like, come on, why are you asking questions that you didn't ask? The gun, no. Like, people, let's not let the media, the Western media, just warp our perception of things, right? Because if we here living in America and we see even with the BLM protest and like how they were shifting the narrative, like if we can see how they're doing that, how could you not believe that they're doing that to other nations, to other places in the world? Do not believe what you see. Like when they broadcast, like the burning tires, you would think that's the entire country, but it's really not. It's a pocket, people. It's a pocket. The Gunno is so beautiful. I'm not saying it's perfect, but like if it's as close as if it's the closest of what perfect could be, it's all subjective. But just the beauty, just the people.
So folks understand too. I know you mean OCOP.
Yeah, the Gunno
areas around.
Yes, and the surrounding areas.
Fort Jacques.
Yes.
Is it Fort Jacques? No,
Fort Jacques. Yeah.
Fort Liberté.
Fort Liberté. Sorry, Fort Liberté. Cadras. Like when I tell you untapped beauty, and it's like people there are so inviting and so like it's y'all
visit.
Visit.
Now let's talk about regular renewal. Now that's how it became. How many folks are currently working for it? Explain the business process. Explain how is that, where is it? Are you getting off the street? Like, do you have a team of folks who are themselves going out and getting it? Are you using independent contractors, like independent folks who are bringing to explain that? And then ultimately how exactly you're getting it out the country and some of the places you're getting it to.
Okay, awesome. So we currently employ, about 50 people. And so it's a goulash of what you said, right? So we have employees, we have independent collectors, we have a little bit, and we use different collection methods, right? So let me explain all of that. So for people who are working with us, we have people who we call the engineers who work the appareil, who work the balers, right? So this is the business model, or this is how the process goes. We get plastic. I'll explain how we get plastic after, but we get plastic. We transport them to our facility. We have the people clean them. So like, let's say this is a bottle, or this is the one, but pretend this is a plastic bottle. They'll take off the wrapper. So it depends on some buyers. They want you to take off the wrappers. They want you to take off the bottle cap and the little plastic ring around a plastic bottle. Some buyers want you to take it off. Some buyers don't. I have a buyer in Slovakia. He said, don't touch it. Don't do anything to it. If you want to throw a little glue on it, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. So it depends on how the buyer wants it. But for the most part, you remove all the wrapper, the small little plastic ring, and the bottle cap. Then the ladies clean them. But it's not like a deep clean. It's just weird, low. Make sure if it has any like weird smell, you may want to take it off. But it's not necessary. Like a little dirt. Then the engineers then take it and then they put it in the baler. And then in the baler, it becomes a cube. They compress it. They put it in a cube. They tie it up, and then we stack it. So, but we don't just put all the plastic together, right? We have to segregate them by the type. So, like your regular water bottles, that's PET, that's plastic number one. We segregate by aluminum. The color for aluminum doesn't matter because all aluminum is the same. Like the Tampico bottles, that's HDPE. That's plastic number two. We segregate those. The bidon rouge, like the yellow, no, not rouge, jaune. The yellow little canisters that you see go carrying around for gas. We collect those as well. And like the plastic for like what do you call those? Like the bokit. The bokit, that's PP. That's plastic number five. That's like a thicker consistency. That's what we make our medical equipment from. So we segregate those all by types and by colors. And then after you put them in the baler, then we stack them up by color and by type. And then when the container comes, then we'll stack it on the container, and then it gets exported off to it gets sent to the port, and then it gets exported. Now, how do we collect it? What are our collection methods? So we have employees that have a quota to meet. They have a quota to meet every week. And we also have independent collectors. So the independent collectors can be people who do this as a career, and then they sell it to us. We weigh it right there in front of them, and then we pay them right there based off of how much they bring, the quantity. And we also accept plastic from the community, people from households, businesses. So if you go on our website, the first thing that pops up is Paye l'école avec plastique. And we also have one that says Paye bilu avec plastique. So let's say your school tuition is $200, right? So you would bring into us $300 worth of plastic. We weigh it and we pay you the equivalent of how much you brought in, and that way we're using plastic and recyclables as a form of currency. I would love for this to expand larger, but right now we're just doing a small sample group just to make sure that it runs efficiently. But EcoRenew's tagline is transforming garbage to gold. And we really mean transforming garbage to gold, because if you're driving throughout Haiti, or you're driving through OCAP, driving through anywhere, every time we have like these conversations, whether it be on Clubhouse, whether it be in group chats, or whether it be amongst our peers, we're always like, oh, Haiti sal. And it's like, okay, we have so much that we can do with it. We're not creating energy with it. We're not transforming it into clothing. We're not doing anything. So why not use this garbage that nobody wants, and why not let us leverage it as gold? And it doesn't have to be a gold bar per se, but we know that gold is a very valuable resource. So let's just transform what we don't want into something that we need, necessities in our everyday life.
I love it. And I remember when we first met ages ago. And just know, guys, like if someone DMs me or messages me, like, I'm sorry, my time is so limited, and it's so important that I connect and leverage that time with those who are moving forward. I look at the person's profile. Like, okay, what's this person? Is this person a doer or a talker? And right away, I saw Vanessa was a doer. Saw what she was doing. Saw her website. I'm like, oh man, I made that time to connect, and haven't regretted it since. Now you mentioned Scandinavia.
Slovakia.
Okay, Slovakia. Yeah. So what are all the countries that your products are going towards? Like
Slovakia, Turkey, Spain, and we're gonna start Mexico really soon.
Nice. Now, and I guess don't give your secret sauce up, but is there like a one website, like a marketplace? Like, is it just people in the community in that world just kind of start talking to each other and sharing who's buying what? Like, how I know your initial was the internet, just did an internet search, but like nowadays, like, where are you you know,
So the thing about that is that when I started, I was just like Googling everything, right? But
mhm,
there is a marketplace. Like I found like there are what do you call a broker. There are brokers, but I'm always like, I don't like the whole pay the middleman concept. I don't know. Maybe I
yeah,
watch too much Power. Like I'm just
yeah. I'm not a broker fan either.
right. I'm like, because I feel like I'm intelligent, and I'm just like,
Mhm,
I don't need you to broker this deal. Like I can broker it.
mhm,
People sleep on Facebook groups. I think a lot of people are sleeping on the like Facebook groups are very valuable, very, very, very valuable. There are communities in these groups that they're looking for items like these are the actual companies, not even the brokers. They're like, hey, we have this for sale. Hey, we have that for sale. So I was in Facebook groups for recycling, and then I found some people like that. And also another thing is that on Instagram, how I found a lot of connections is so I was looking. So when I was building Eco Renew, I didn't necessarily. I know the proximity from Haiti to America is like only an hour flight, but I was looking at countries that mimicked the economy of Haiti. So yes, in proximity, America's right there, but America is already established. I'm looking at Nigeria. I'm looking at Ghana. I'm looking at countries that look like Haiti, specifically Nigeria, because they have an electricity problem. Majority of their electricity is given through generators. Their socioeconomic, even though it's not exact, but it's similar.
mhm,
So I found these companies on Instagram, DM'd them. I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. The founders reached out to me, and they actually were the ones that connect me to the buyers in Turkey, buyers in Turkey, several buyers in India. So it really is leveraging the resources. I have a problem, right? So I have a problem when people are online all day just scrolling for fun.
mhm,
You don't got a business and you're not making money off of it. There's no reason why at the end of the week when Apple sends you that report when it says like your screen time,
mhm,
there's no reason why you need to be, if you're not a content creator, if you're not an influencer, you don't need to be scrolling Instagram
mhm,
23 hours out of the 24, and you haven't cashed out. Now, if you haven't made a connection, if you haven't made like something to advance you,
mhm,
there's not that many memes in the world that's going to save you,
mhm,
right? So I was using me being on Instagram, like on my business page, everybody that I follow, they're in Nigeria, they're in Ghana, they're in Kenya, they're in my space, or they're
mhm.
in other countries that like, I'm like, okay, let me see what we can do together in this. So I think really leveraging our social media platforms aside from entertainment, because it's way too powerful for us to be sleeping on it. Way too powerful.
How, you got to bring this up. I know it's probably a fatiguing thing to bring up,
It's
but
okay.
I bring it up really because I hope it's a source of encouragement for other women. But as a woman, talk to me about experience being an entrepreneur and being an entrepreneur in one of the most challenging places to be an entrepreneur in Haiti.
Mhm.
Like that has to be complex right there, right? Being a female entrepreneur and particularly being one in Haiti, where let's be honest, I think there is a machoism that exists in Haiti's culture and in business ecosystem, particularly. Break that down.
Okay. I think to start off, I think it's safe to like it's good to say that I can't do everything by myself, and I think everyone you need to have a team with you, right? So I know my strengths. I know I just started learning how to speak good Creole in 2019 when I was running for office. So the Creole that you heard me speak a little bit in the beginning, I can even say that before 2019.
Girl,
So
I'm going for a lot, bro.
having the power of a team is very important. So I have an operations manager, and je fais main, I can trust him. Je fais main, I know that he can handle stuff, right? So where I may not put myself as the forefront in Haiti, I let him handle all that because like once they hear my thick accent, they're like, all right, we gonna finesse. No,
Mhm,
no, no, you're not. Talk to the boss man. Like he's the
mhm,
boss man, right?
mhm,
But just to get more in depth about that, even in America, like aside from doing business in Haiti, like for both of them, like they hear that I'm in waste management, they're like, "You?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, no, 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 no. Like, okay, so you're handling the business. Like, who's the owner? I'm like, it's me, because like we don't really see women in industries like this. We don't see women in industries in construction, waste management, things like that. But to be honest with you, I think that it has its being a woman, it has its advantages and it has its disadvantages. But I'm not someone to be, and I don't want to sound like, oh, I don't have any problems. Maybe like tell them about what problem. Like I don't focus on problems. I'm just like, okay, I'm always on a pivot mindset. Like, because if I can't do it, somebody else gonna handle it for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I get your question. Trust me, I get it. But of course, there's gonna be those comments like, "Oh no, are you sure you can handle that?" But sit aside, like, okay, sit back. Let me show you. Like, I'm not someone that really dwells on like, oh man, they're not letting me through the door. I'm like, what door? I didn't even realize there was a door that I had to open, like, because I'm walking straight through that. So if there is any impediments that I do come across, I let my right hand person handle that, because it's like I can't do everything, and you can't do everything, Chris. Any average person, we cannot accomplish it all. So I'm not going to say it's because of a woman I couldn't do that. All right, if you want to put that barrier, don't worry, we got a man in place. So I'm not really here to change people's perception of being a woman, and like I'm not here because people are gonna have their ignorance. They're gonna have their preconceived notions. But you know what? I'm not letting that stop me, because there's money to be made. There's business to be made. Like there's business to handle. And if you don't want me to be the face, that's fine. I don't have to be the face of anything. I have an operations manager, 6'5", kind of buff, got a beard. So if you want a manly man, he's right there. Like it's pick your poison, But at the end of the day, connecting with at least the international buyers, even them, like even the ones in Europe, when I met with them with the company that's that we're starting a new partnership with, they're like, how old are you? They're like, is it? They're like, it's really you? I'm like, yes, it's me. And they're like, even they were intrigued. So I don't want to just like, say it's just for Haiti, because even my partners in Europe, they're like, wow, like even they're intrigued, So I think it's just, people's mindset that are like, wow, a woman, you're young, you're doing this. But I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I embrace it, because I think people are more, their defense is down. And you know what? When people that you're interacting with, when their defense is down and they're like they're like, okay, you're friendly, you're nice, they're more willing to be accommodating in business. So that's why I say, like, I see it as a plus being a woman in business. So
I've in my time, um, connecting with entrepreneurs in Haiti. Quite frankly, 8 out of 10 are women, and 8 out of 10 are doing incredible work, finding success. And so it's a non-factor. In fact, the question I have is why is there not more men in the space? Quite frankly, the women are certainly represented and are doing great work, and so hats off to that. And so I don't know, for some reason, despite the fact that what I've seen is that women are the majority in entrepreneurship in Haiti, I still feel there's a perception that they're not. And maybe that's just the American weird thing that tries to put women aside in a box. But thankfully, Haitian women aren't taking that.
yeah.
Haitian women are taking charge and leading the forefront battle. Meanwhile, again, I don't know what Haitian men are doing, but keep
You
doing
said it. You said it.
keep doing it. Um, so I'm interested to know what is the 10-year plan for Eco Renewal? Like, where do you see? But at the same time, too, while I ask you that, I'm asking you the other side of that, which is, you have this concept of pivotableness. Maybe I'll
Yeah.
give you that.
It's a word today.
Yeah. So explain your 10-year plan, but also then talk about how you truly believe in terms of the power of the pivot and
Hmm.
and, and being flexible in that plan.
Okay, let's start off with the power of the pivot so that we
Okay.
can go
Okay.
into the next one, right? Because they intertwine with one another.
Yeah.
I had to make a huge pivot last year, the end of last year, from Quadribuque to now OCAP, the OCAP area. So we all heard the news about the 17 missionaries that got kidnapped, and that happened in my neighborhood, in the neighborhood where Eco Renew Solutions was stationed. So my family's not from Quadribuque, but my mom purchased land. My parents buy land and real estate. So I just, whatever's for my parents is for me. So I'm snatching it, right? So when that news broke out that they kidnapped the 17 missionaries, and it's not like it's the first kidnapping, but I was just like, all right, this one seems real. And then, they put a price, 1 million. And I'm just like, listen, I don't even got half a mil to give. So that power of the pivot, and I'm so glad you mentioned the pivot, because we as entrepreneurs have to know when to pivot. We cannot be married to one plan. We cannot be married to one plan. Let me give you an example, right? It's not in Haiti. Look what's happening. If you follow the stock market, look what's happening with Netflix, right? So Netflix took out Blockbuster, right? And then Netflix, they came in with their plan and they have not changed since because they were like, oh, we got it on lock.
Yeah,
we took Blockbuster out, we're good.
The
So they're sitting on the throne. They're like, nobody's going to dethrone us.
They need us. We don't need them. Guess
exactly.
what?
They need
Guess
us.
what?
We don't have to change our methods. HBO Max came out with the app. Stars came out with the app. Disney Plus came out with the app. And Disney Plus took in Hulu, ESPN, and everything. So now
HBO Max,
exactly. So now everybody's looking at Netflix,
Amazon Prime Video.
Amazon Prime, exactly, with exclusive drops. So now where Netflix thought they were good, they were we were the first, we were this and this and that. You can never be too comfortable. And if you look at the stock market, the Netflix is down even I think it's less than its all-time high. It's less than that, right? So I say that, I give that example to turn into what we're doing in Haiti, right? You cannot be married to one plan. You came into Haiti with one plan. I'm gonna do this, and it is what it is. You have to always be adaptable. If you're not willing to change or pivot, you are going to crash and burn. And it's not only in Haiti. This is in business in general, because you came into the game in 1999, and we're now in 2022, and you haven't changed up your game plan yet. I'm sorry to say that. My mom used to say, I'm sorry, Charlie. Like, I really am sorry, Charlie. Like, because if Netflix isn't going to change, if they're not going to change their pricing tier or something, these other apps are gonna come and pull the rug up under them. And if you ever seen The Color Purple, when Whoopi has she's like, until you do right by me. So that's kind of like the ghost of Blockbuster coming to bite Netflix in the behind, right? And that's just like businesses in Haiti. Like, if you don't have the power of pivot in you, you are going to crash and burn. You have to always be ready to do that pivot, right? Just like I used to play basketball. He's like, pivot. I can hear my coach now, pivot. You got to know how to pivot. So we did that pivot from Quadribuque to the OCAP area, because we're like, listen, this isn't working for us right now. That doesn't mean we abandoned what we got going on in Quadribuque. One just felt like my dad had land up there, so now we pivoted our operations, and even the OCAP area needs us. So I'm like, even better. So this is going to transition into our 10-year plan, right? So we were always going to go to the OCAP area, but not that soon. But you gotta stay ready so that you don't have to get ready, right? Stay ready so you never have to be ready. So that kind of put a fire in my behind to be like, all right, Vanessa, you didn't want to do it now, but so let's do this. So again, I'm grateful to have my family that has my mom left the warehouse and my dad has land. So snatch that, put operations there so that we can start. So one of our partners actually wants to have Eco Renew Station as like the leading recycler in the Caribbean, and I'm on board with it, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh, Haiti tellement sale, and it's like, it's not only Haiti. Like, a lot of people that are saying that you guys don't even travel. Like, there's a lot of other countries in the Caribbean, around the world, that are pisal ki Haiti, right? But they're not plastering it online. They're not plastering it. So after we do the North, I do want to have one in the South, like the South. And then I also want to move into different countries in the Caribbean as well. And I just got, I'm in the Endeavor Labs in Miami, and we're working on trying to start a branch in Miami. The thing about Miami is that, in the United States, when you start a business, there is so much like red tape, like zoning. This can't be here. This can't be here. Like, you're dishing out 100K before you even bring in a penny. Whereas like in Haiti, yeah, of course, you have to, you do have some things that you have to handle beforehand, but like, you can kind of finesse your way. Like you can, you can do like the little Kim, like the little Kim dance, how she does that little thingy. Like you can kind of like maneuver without doing all those all at once. So especially if you have like, if you have land, if you have a building, you don't have to do everything like in there's not so much redlining, right? Because you have more opportunity in these emerging markets. Whereas if you do it in a nation that's already developed, you have this process that is very, very, very strict, and you have to abide by it. So for our 10-year plan, we want to open another one in the South, and hopefully in all the departments, but
Mhm.
also become a leader in recycling and waste management in the Caribbean.
Mhm.
So,
I love it. That's the goal. That's what you want to aim for.
yes,
That's a real goal,
yes,
real targetable and achievable, right?
yes,
Knowing because it's you.
yes, right.
Now we're gonna. I know we're a bit over time, but I want to understand. I want so folks because a big thing what we do here is not just to share the stories, but allow folks to understand how they could do it too. And a big part of understanding how to do it too is the other side of entrepreneurship. For example, the mistakes.
Hmm.
You know, if you highlight one, maybe two, but certainly one mistake that you did while starting your venture or starting in the domain of recycling or waste management, um, and it took a while before you realized it was a mistake, and then now you quickly fixed it. Like what was that? And that shows hopefully okay, that's because the lazy way to answer that is, I'll give a few tips in terms of starting a
Right.
business. No, no, no. The you learn the most through your mistakes, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
there are those mistakes, and that should give people a much clearer way
Hmm.
to be better in their
Some of the
business.
mistakes. I think spending money prematurely
Hmm.
would be a mistake, but a
Hmm.
lesson. Um, wow. Because you know what? It's just like what you said. Like now I'm seeing it all as a lesson. So now my vision is blurred. I'm like, was it really a mistake? Because now I learned through it. Um, a mistake. I think spending money prematurely was a mistake, but
You say
wow.
prematurely. You mean like maybe you would have done a little more research before, or maybe spent a
Okay, here
smaller
we go.
amount just to test a
Yes.
little more, and then before going all in?
So let's say research. I'd have done more
Mhm.
research on more things, right?
Okay.
Because there it goes. Thank you for helping me
Hmm.
like get that idea out. That's what I was trying to say. Yes.
Hmm.
I'd have done more research on things before spending money, right?
Hmm.
So on pile fois out there mundi oh m'ble battre en business Haiti. And then like 2 months, like a couple months later, like, oh, on moun voler l'argent. And I'm just like, well, do you even know what you're doing? Like, like, do you even know what business is before you say
Hmm.
somebody stole your money or don't trust those people? So I think that doing way more research um, on like establishing a business in Haiti and the timeline. We have to be cognizant of the timeline. We can't hop on sunbiz.org, get it in 15 minutes, get our EIN in under 3 minutes.
No, you
Totally
can't believe
different.
me. I'm on a year and a half. Still
A
can't
year
get
and a
my
half
corporation.
and going plus. The minimum is a year and a half. Okay.
Man.
So doing more research was definitely a mistake that I think that I pride myself on being a master researcher. And even that surprised me because it's Haiti. So like you over here thinking that I know everything. I'm a research. All right. If you think you know everything, think again. So a mistake that I would do that I said that I did that I hope that no one else repeats. Do more research, and research is not only going online. It's coming. Put your feet on the ground. Put your feet on the ground. Look at the neighborhood. Talk to people in the neighborhood. See if it's a good neighborhood. Um, just because you have a good idea doesn't mean it's good for this area or it's good for right now. Oh, about your business. What business is it? Oh, I want to do X, Y, Z. Is that what the people need? Are they going to support it? Like, is this what they need, or is this what you want to do? So doing more research, I think, is a mistake that turned into a lesson that I think that other entrepreneurs can definitely learn from. So research through reading and actually getting on the ground.
I feel this entire conversation has been extremely illuminating, eye opening. I think certainly when I, for example, I did a story in my area where trash was a problem, and but rather than just complain, because there's folks in this community where because again there's no government trash pickup, they would just toss it out in this local every field that was just became the trash dump, and it's right there folks would burn their trash. The fumes would blow back into the community. You know how toxic and absolutely dangerous that is. Um, so, seeing this, for a month too long, a few months, it's like this is something that has to be done. I'm not the type of person who just doesn't do anything. And so I spoke with my family because my family lives nearby in that area too. And we said, we got to do something. We have to see what we can organize. And they agreed. And so we went into that community, or did a community round town hall of sorts, invited folks to come to discuss this. A good amount of them actually came, discussed, this issue, and came to an agreement where everyone would chip in what they could. Right? There was a company that would sell you bins with trash bags, and then you'd come and they'd come in and pick it up. And so my family, we had at least 2, 3 houses there. And so what we did was, each of us paid for our own bin. Um, but the way the cost structure is, us paying for our own bin allowed, just your own bin that you have at in front of your home, a little bin that fits like a few trash. But the way the price structure is, when you're able to get 3, you're able to get a big bin, like a bin like that usually sits behind a business, those big ones. And that bin was for the community. And so everyone would still chip in, right? Everyone would chip in what they could. We didn't have a hard minimum or anything. If you give a meal good, give a meal good. Give this a second good, and give this a second good. Whatever you can, just chip in something. That we assign someone to be the community receiver for that. And then those funds would be used first and foremost to pay someone to be responsible for not only maintaining that area, because trash is trash. Trash spills over, trash gets dirty. That person would clean the bins in this area, secure the bins too, to make sure that folks, it's not folks from outside the community who aren't paying, who are putting stuff in, because folks will do that, right? And we don't necessarily wouldn't mind if folks from outside the community over in the future, but for right now, we're just making sure this system works, right? And also that person would, depending on the situation of the person, because there's some elderly people, folks who aren't in necessarily a situation where they can bring their trash out. He goes and collects that trash and puts it there, right? And then whatever left over goes then also to, help support, the monthly subscription, right? And we've been doing this, for a couple months now. It's working greatly. Area is clean. There isn't burning trash every evening in the area like it used to be. We pay for the company to initially we wanted the company to come by every 2 months, every 2 weeks, every 2 days a week. That's what I'm trying to say. But we actually, after we saw how quickly the trash is building up, we paid for them to come 3 times a week. And what I did is replicable by anyone. It's not just about going for you and saying, "Oh my God, there's so much trash." Here's one way to do it. Because here's the thing, folks don't understand. There isn't a lack of private trash companies in Haiti. There's over 40 plus trash companies, right? So there's plenty of them. The issue is, in most countries, there is a component where the municipality would pay a trash company to come collect it, but the whole tax structure in Haiti just doesn't work. Pays their local tax. There isn't money for it, which is a big problem of it. There's no will on the side of the government, but then on this other side, there's just nobody paying their tax.
Right.
And so you don't have the state apparatus doing what it needs to. Because that's why there is an aspect of us as Haitian diaspora coming in. You can probably support half of that cost yourself, and the other half is where you get the community involvement, right? And of course, that next level is starting your own venture like you're doing with recycling, which is extremely laudable. I think I learned a lot. I want to thank you, Vanessa, for coming. I think a lot of the folks watching hopefully are encouraged and inspired by what you're doing and what you've done. The website, let me give it to me so I can go ahead. Actually, I think I know it's Eco Renewals. What is it? Eco Renewals?
EcoRenewSolutions.com. And while you're typing it out, I want to say something that you just, I want to point out something that you just said, right? it's not even that much of a big contribution. And I was talking to my friend about this the other day because we went to the Bitcoin and the NFT conference, and people are always saying, "Oh, I want to help Haiti, but I just don't know how." Right? So, like things like this, like just like méthode man. What's mille good? Mille good is like $10,
I pay
$20.
my component is $35. That's why
Exactly.
I'm contributing
Exactly.
to ensure
And
my
it's nothing
community
that
in Haiti
people
is
can
clean.
do.
35
Ex-
bucks.
exactly. So people are always talking about, oh, I'm back on some but I want to help Haiti. And it's like, there are there are actionable things that you can do right now that can help contribute to these things. You don't have to do on gun shows because you're gonna have to establish a business, do this, do that, but help people who are already on the ground, like even contributing to SeeJeanty Media, like so that he can push out this content, so that the first thing that we hear when we hear Haiti is not poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, poorest country, and we tired, we get it, so that we need to support these people right here, like SeeJeanty Media, that are pushing a different narrative, so that when you tell people, "Hey, I'm from Haiti," they don't follow it with, "Oh, I'm so sorry,"
Oh,
like, "Oh, how are you? Do you have family from the earthquake?" And it's like, lady, that happened.
all
That
the
happened
time.
a while ago. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of don't want to give a rude response, but it's like, lady, how are you doing with the mass shooting that happened in Chicago last week? Like it.
Okay.
That's kind of how ignorant it is, right? So
Mhm.
I want people to leave this conversation knowing that, like, look how Chris is a $35 contribution. It's like it's really not that much, but it will go a long way. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Put your hand in something that's already going on right now, so that we can make a better Haiti. So that next time somebody comes, you don't have to hear like T playing ensayo. There are people on the ground that are doing the work. Just buy on team man.
I want to keep this conversation going. I really do. But I know as a busy woman, you have a whole day ahead of you. What other ways for folks to get a hold of you or your business? Is you have an IG? What IG would you like to give?
You can have the I don't really post on my personal IG like that. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always on my business IG.
Mm-hmm.
So ecorenew_solutions
Mm-hmm.
on Instagram. I answer the DMs, or you can email me. I check my emails maybe like 50,000 times a day. info@ecorenewsolutions.com. You can write an email. You'll get a fast response if I'm available. But reach out if you have any questions. And like what Chris said, like I'm not in the business of having a monopoly, right? Like, and I always say this, even if there were 50 companies, 50 more waste management companies in Haiti, the amount of trash that we are mismanaging, we would all be able to eat. So people, let's be let's be actionable. Let's do stuff for Haiti, for real, and not have a like I said the other day, like, we wait for a tragedy, we repost a GoFundMe link, we have these IG chats, these, what is it, IG lives or Clubhouse chats, and then everybody logs off and goes back to their plush way of living, and until the next tragedy, until the next tragedy. So let's support people who are pushing a different narrative in Haiti. Let's reimagine how we interact. And if you can't start something for yourself, support people who are on the ground that you think they're doing something dope. Go ahead and do it. Like, SeeJeanty, I know I'm pushing you a lot. I'm promoting you a lot,
I'll take it. Take
but like
it.
I'm part of the private WhatsApp group, right? What's $20 to me? What's $20 to me? Because I just had sushi last night. I wanted to hire. I spent like $110 for just sushi and some drinks, right? Like, what's $20 out of my budget monthly, and it's auto pay, to support SeeJeanty Media, to help his employees who are going to later help their families, who and that's somebody's tuition, to help push a different narrative. So again, like, we have people working on the ground. Like, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Support people on the ground. There are people who are doing dope things. Let's make it happen, people. We're in 2020. No more excuses. You have a smartphone in your hand. You got to start correlating this right here and this right here, so we can start making things shake, because nobody's going to come to save us. Don't blame USID. Don't blame the government. Don't blame United States. Don't blame what France did in 1500s, whatever year that was. We got to start. We got to start looking at ourselves in the mirror.
Mm-hmm. And guys, you see why Vanessa also happy to have her on? Is she? Close your eyes and put a female voice as my tone. Is that not me? Vanessa, it's been a blast. I've enjoyed you being on. This certainly is going to go to some of my top interviews for sure. Thank you so much for being here today. And any final parting words?
Let's reimagine the way that we think of Haiti. Let's start transforming garbage to gold, and let's support people who are doing dope things. I want to say
Awesome.
thank you again. Thank you so much to SeeJeanty Media for having me on, for letting me explain what I do. And I promise you, this year you are going to have the SeeJeanty Media exclusive through
I,
our OCAP. Not quite a bouquet because I
yeah,
can't, but to the OCAP, you have the exclusive. You have the
yeah.
first exclusive, and
No,
I keep
trust me.
promising you that. I keep
Before the
promising.
end of the year, I have to do a Jacmel series and spend a week up there in Jacmel just to shoot content, and that's going to be certainly a part of the agenda to
Okay.
visit the facility.
Everybody heard the deal. Everybody heard it. I can't renege.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you so
Take
very much.
care. Have a great
Bye.
Saturday. Bye, my dear.
Bye.